Hello, friends. We're back with another fable today. Now, yesterday we were talking about the boy who cried wolf. Remember, fable, short story that teaches us a lesson or the moral, okay, or a moral. And our story yesterday was the boy who cried wolf, and the moral was, don't be lying. If you continue to lie, then when you tell the truth, nobody's going to believe you. So don't be lying, okay? Now, today we're going to read another one of Aesop's fables, and it is called The Maid in the Milk Pail. And it is about a milkmaid, a girl who milks cows. And her job is really important because cows need to be milked every day. Have you ever milked a cow or been to a farm where they milk cows? You have to milk a cow every day if it's a milk cow. So we're going to talk about our vocabulary words. I want you to look at our picture, and I want you to make a prediction about what you think today's story is going to be about, or what the moral of the story is. And then I want you to listen to see if your prediction comes true, okay? So our vocabulary today is balanced, stable or fixed in place, likely to fall. The tightrope walker appeared to be well balanced on the high wire. Jealous, wanting what another person has. Timothy was jealous of Carla's new puppy. Milkmaid, a girl or woman who milks cows. The milkmaid took 3 buckets of milk back to the house. Plumpest, chubbiest, most round. Julie would only sleep on the plumpest pillows. Okay, so let's look at our picture. And let me go ahead and let's look at our picture here. And what do you think is going to happen? What do you think today's story is going to be about? What lesson might you learn from this story? All right, friends, so let's get started. Peggy, the milkmaid, was going to the market. So remember, a milkmaid is somebody that milks cows. There she planned to sell the fresh sweet milk in the pail that she had learned to carry balanced on her head. So she knew how to keep that pail, that big bucket you see in the picture, on top of her head that's filled with milk without it tipping over. Okay. She went along. She began thinking what she'd do with the money she for the milk. I'll buy the plumpest or the fattest chickens from Farmer Brown, she said, and they will lay eggs each morning. When those eggs hatch, I'll have more chickens. Then I'll sell some of the chickens and some of the eggs, and that will get me enough money to buy the blue dress I've wanted and some blue ribbon to match. Okay, so what does Peggy plan to do with the milk? She's going to sell the milk. Then she's going to use that money to buy chickens so the chickens lay eggs. So that way she can sell the eggs and some of the chickens to get more money so she can buy a blue dress. A lot of work. Do you think that plan's gonna make sense though? You think it'll work? It might. Let's keep reading and find out. Oh, and I'll look so lovely that all the boys will want to dance with me at the fair and all the girls will be jealous. Okay, so she thinks that the other girls will wish they want to look like her, and if she wears this new dress, and she'll get the boys' attention. But I don't care. I'll just toss my head at him like this. Uh-oh. She tossed back her head. The pail flew off and the milk spilled all over the road. How do you think she feels now? So Peggy had to return home and tell her mother what had happened. Ah, my child, said her mother, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. What do you think her mom means by that? All right, so the moral or the lesson of our story is don't count your chickens before they're hatched, or don't count on having everything turn out exactly as you plan, because you may be disappointed. So talk about that for a second, because we just talked about how she was going to buy all these chickens and the chickens were going to lay more eggs and hatch into more chickens and things like that. But then she ended up spilling the milk and she couldn't buy the chickens and the eggs. and then she couldn't buy the blue dress and the ribbons, she wouldn't have the girls be jealous and get the attention of the boys. So she was thinking ahead of time, like, oh, everything's going to go exactly as planned, but it didn't. So that's why they say don't count your chickens before they hatch, because you don't know if your plan's going to turn out the way you want it to be, and you might get disappointed. So let's talk about our questions. Okay. Were your predictions correct? Hold on, let me stop my share here. Were your predictions correct? Did you think that it was going to be that way? I didn't. It's going to turn out that way. All right. So what does the milkmaid want to buy with the money she makes from the sale of the milk? Some big fat chickens? And then eventually a blue dress and a ribbon. Okay, there are only 2 characters or people in this fable. Who are they? Remember, we talked about what characters are. They're the people in the story. So we had the milkmaid and the milkmaid's mother. Okay, so remember the beginning, middle, and ending are known as the plot of the story. So what do you think? Let me pull up our picture again. What do you think the plot of this story? Do you think this is the beginning, the middle, or the end of the story? This is probably the ending of the, well, I would think the ending, because she has spilled the milk, but now she has to go back to her mom. So it might be closer to the middle. That one's kind of a toss-up. We'll say it's the middle, because she still has to go back to her mom and explain what happened. So beginning of the story was when she's on her way to the market, talking about all the things she's going to buy. The middle of the story is when she spills the milk, and the ending of the story is when she has to go back to her mother and tell what had happened. So we'll call this the middle of the story for the plot. All right. Let's see. How do the milkmaid's feelings change from the beginning to the end of the tale or the fable? Well, first she was excited because she had all these plans. She was like, oh, I'm going to sell my milk and get chickens, and then I'm going to buy the blue dress, and I'm going to buy the ribbons, and everybody's going to be jealous. And then at the end, she spills the milk, and it's like, oh. So she was kind of sad and kind of upset because now all her plans were ruined. All right, how could the milkmaid have kept the milk from spilling? She could have carried that pail differently, huh? She maybe could have concentrated more on what she was doing instead of all her thoughts about what she would do. All right, last question. All of Aesop's fables or stories were meant to teach a lesson or a moral on how to behave. What's today's moral in this fable? Don't count your chickens before they hatch. All right, friends, go into Google Classroom. Make sure you answer all your questions. Remember, we go over every question in the video. Turn it into me. See you on our next lesson. Figure out what our next moral is. Bye, friends.